Welcome to our video about the fascinating world of Pokemon and their placement on the Tree of Life. Today, we'll take a closer look at Fiero and its relationship with Pidgeot. The Pelecaniforms are an order of birds that includes pelicans, the shoebill, the hammerhead, herons, as well as ibises and spoonbills. Until a few years ago, the order had a nearly completely different composition, and in addition to pelicans, boobies, frigate birds, tropic birds, cormorants, and anhingas were placed in the Pelecaniforms. In this composition, the Pelecaniforms were named after the structure of their feet, where all four toes are connected by a web. However, the similarities between pelicans and the other families are merely due to convergence, as molecular biological findings such as DNA comparisons of mitochondrial and nucleus-contained DNA clearly argue against a relationship. The closest relatives of pelicans are the shoebill and the hammerhead, two birds native to tropical Africa, which were traditionally classified as wading birds. The sister group of the clade formed by all three taxa are the herons and the ibises and spoonbills. To return to monophyletic taxa, the International Ornithological Committee assigns all families of wading birds, except for storks, to the Pelecaniforms. The tropic birds now form a separate order, the Phaethontiforms, and the remaining Pelecaniforms are placed in the order Sculiformes. The close relationship of the families currently placed in the Pelecaniforms is based on molecular biological studies and is not yet supported by morphological characteristics. Herons are a family within the order Pelecaniforms. This family includes 19 genera and 68 species. Most species have long legs and a dagger-like beak. Many species also have a long neck. Herons are almost exclusively bound to freshwater habitats, with their diet mainly consisting of fish and other aquatic animals, which they seek in shallow waters near the shore. They are distributed worldwide. All herons have a long, dagger-like beak, a short tail, and large, broad wings. The neck is S-shaped, due to the elongated sixth cervical vertebra. This curved neck is particularly noticeable in flying herons. The so-called day herons are usually large birds with distinctly long necks and legs. Night herons and bitterns are more stoutly built and have significantly shorter necks. The largest species, the Goliath heron, can grow up to 140 centimeters long and have a wingspan of up to 230 centimeters. The smallest herons can be found in the genus Ixobrachus, some of which reach a body length of only 27 centimeters. There are only slight size differences between males and females. Males are about 2 to 4% larger than females. Apart from this, there is no noticeable sexual dimorphism, although an exception is the genus Ixobrachus, where the plumage of males and females is fundamentally different. Additionally, there are often juvenile plumages that differ significantly from the plumage of adult birds. There are both very colorful and inconspicuous gray-brown colored herons. The most common colors are black, brown, blue, gray, and white. Often, colors serve as camouflage. This is most striking in the genus Botaurus, which with their black-brown streaking are almost indistinguishable in the reeds, but even seemingly brightly colored herons often have a black-white streaked belly, which is difficult to see when viewed underwater. Many species of both day and night herons are characterized by extended ornamental feathers on the head, neck, chest, and/or back. These are often brightly colored and reach their peak expression during courtship. Another peculiarity of heron plumage is the powder down. These down feathers grow throughout life and constantly disintegrate at their tips into a powdery substance used for cleaning the feathers. Herons usually have 3 paired feather regions with powder down. Some species have 2 or 4. Additionally, herons have a uropygial gland, which, compared to that of many other water birds, is very small. The unfeathered parts of herons are usually yellow, black, or brown. These include the legs and beak, as well as parts of the head between the eyes and beak. These colors become brighter and more vivid during the breeding season. For instance, the gray heron usually has a yellowish-brown beak, which turns bright orange-yellow during the breeding season. The beak of herons is long and dagger-like. The only exception is the boat-billed heron, which has a very broad, thick beak, a notable deviation from all other species. The long legs end in anisodactyl feet, The middle toe is always the longest, and the hind toe directly opposes it. The middle toe and inner toe are connected by a basal webbing, otherwise, webbing is absent. The legs enable wading in deep water. Some species have greatly elongated toes, allowing them to find footing on floating vegetation. Bitterns can climb through bushes and reeds. The wings have 10 to 11, 9 in the boat-billed heron, primary feathers and 15 to 20 secondary feathers. They allow for slow flight with powerful wing beats. Night herons and bitterns have a faster wing beat than day herons. The largest herons need 100 wing beats per minute, while the smallest need 200. The neck is bent backward during flight, so the head rests on the shoulders. The only exception is the whistling heron, which also deviates with its rather duck-like, rapid flight. Herons are found on all continents except Antarctica. They are absent only in polar regions and some oceanic islands. The greatest species diversity is in South and Southeast Asia, 24 species, followed by Africa, 21, South and Central America, 20, and Australia and Oceania, 16. The Nearctic region has 12 species, and the Palearctic region has 9 species. Herons are primarily birds of lowlands and are rarely found in mountains. However, there are exceptions. The altitude record is held by a night heron encountered in the Chilean Andes at an altitude of 4,816 meters. Herons are usually inhabitants of water edges. They are mainly found at shallow lakes and in swamps, but also at rivers, mangroves, and even coastal areas. However, there are exceptions to this rule. Some species can be found temporarily or permanently far from water. The East Asian wave heron can be found at the edges of water bodies, but its preferred habitat is subtropical rainforests, where it hunts frogs and earthworms on the forest floor. The best-known example of a heron species not bound to water is the cattle egret, which lives in grasslands and savannas and has no significant attachment to water. Most herons are resident or nomadic birds. However, there are also many migratory birds in the family. The migratory behavior of species in temperate and cold zones is more pronounced than that of species in the tropics. For example, the European populations of the purple heron, the night heron, and the little bittern overwinter in Africa south of the Sahara. The gray heron is a partial migrant. From Central Europe, 25 to 45% migrate to African wintering grounds, from Sweden 70%. However, gray herons in the British Isles are resident birds. The terms day herons and night herons are not always accurately chosen. There is almost no heron species that is exclusively diurnal or nocturnal. The gray heron is predominantly diurnal but occasionally hunts at night without any difference in efficiency. The night heron is indeed mostly crepuscular and nocturnal, but can sometimes be seen hunting in broad daylight. The African white-backed night heron is the only species known to be exclusively nocturnal. While day and night herons live in colonies, tiger herons and bitterns are solitary. The former breed and rest socially, but usually hunt alone. Especially solitary bitterns avoid being seen through stillness and color camouflage. They have perfected these traits with their reed bed posture when threatened, stretching their head and beak upwards to blend into the reeds even more. They can maintain this posture for hours. With few exceptions, herons feed on aquatic animals, namely fish, amphibians, reptiles, water birds, small mammals, insects, mollusks, and crustaceans. The daily food requirement of a gray heron is at least 330 to 500 grams. Usually, prey is caught by standing still and then striking quickly with the beak. Ideally, the prey is pierced. Sometimes herons also slowly walk around in search of prey. Other hunting techniques are less common. Various species have been observed catching aquatic animals while flying, hunting insects in flight, and swimming stealthily. Many herons use their wings while hunting. They spread them to create shade, attracting potential prey seeking shelter from the sun. Another advantage of the wing's shade is that it minimizes reflections from the water surface, giving the heron a better view. Many heron species occasionally use this technique, while the African bellied heron almost exclusively relies on it. It can form a closed canopy with its wings. Another remarkable hunting technique is used by the mangrove heron, which deliberately places insects on the water surface as bait to attract fish. The large herons are capable of hunting very large prey. A gray heron was observed in Belgium catching a coot, another was photographed in Vianen, the Netherlands, catching a rabbit. However, these are exceptions. More common is the plundering of bird nests. Little bitterns occasionally eat the eggs and young of reed warblers, while night herons are attracted to the nests of ibises, terns, and other herons. Some species have unusual diets. White-cheeked herons and black-necked herons have been observed eating carrion, and the mangrove heron has even been seen eating acorns. The generalist among herons is the cattle egret. While it occasionally catches typical heron prey like fish and other aquatic animals, it usually stays far from water, making insects its main prey. As a cultural follower, it sometimes searches for food at garbage dumps and also consumes large amounts of plant matter, which it sometimes steals from silos. The cattle egret is especially known for following large mammals, cattle, buffalo, elephants, etc., and freeing them from skin parasites. Most herons nest in colonies, but there are also solitary nesting species like the Goliath heron and the bitterns, as well as species that can nest both in colonies and individually, like the gray heron. Heron colonies can reach enormous sizes. A heron colony in the Niger Delta included 68,300 to 70,800 pairs of various species. At the nesting site, the male arrives first and immediately begins courting. A series of ritualized gestures are intended to attract the attention of a female and keep male competitors away. Such gestures include vertically stretching the head and neck, spreading the wings, bobbing the head up and down while erecting the feathers, and bill snapping. The nests are either in trees or reeds. The nest of the little bittern is built exclusively by the male, while in other species, both partners build it together. It is an unstructured pile of twigs or reed stems. In many species, the nests are expanded each year, which can lead to massive structures, about 1.5 meters for the gray heron's tree nest. Heron clutches consist of 1 to 10 eggs. The lower extreme, 1 egg, is found in the banded heron and the white-crowned heron, the upper extreme, 10 eggs, in the little bitterns. Most species lay 3 to 5 eggs. On average, herons in temperate zones have larger clutches than those in the tropics. The eggs are usually glossy white or light blue, in some species olive brown, bitterns, or spotted, tiger herons. They are incubated for 14 to 30 days, usually by both partners. Rarely, brood parasitism occurs, where a heron female lays eggs in the nest of another species. The chicks hatch at different times. The oldest chick thus has a growth advantage. When fed by the parent birds, it tries to push the younger siblings away from the food. This often results in the youngest sibling starving or being killed by pecking aggression. The chicks are initially almost completely naked. They stay in the nest for 3.5 to 13 weeks. During this time, they are fed a semi-digested food mash, which is regurgitated by both parent birds either into the nest or directly into the chick's beak. Although fossil finds of herons are extremely rare, they indicate that herons are a very old bird group. The genus Proardia from the Eocene of France is the oldest known heron, and from the same epoch, footprints likely from herons are known. By the Miocene, the lines of large day herons and small night herons are already recognizable, some of which are assigned to the extant genera Ardea, Ardiola, Egretta, and Nyctocorax. In the Pleistocene, many of the present-day species already existed. The recently extinct Ardea benuides, a heron that was widespread on the Arabian Peninsula, is the largest known species that has ever lived. In total, fewer than 40 fossil species have been described. Additionally, an extinct family from the Oligocene, Xenorodiopode, is known, which is considered to be closely related to herons. That's it for Fierro. Next week, we'll focus on Arbok and its relationships with the Archelosauria like Blastoise, Charizard, Pidgeot, and Fierro. Feel free to subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and check back next time.